Welcome back to another episode of Athena's Listening Crew. I'm Renee,
And I'm Lena.
and today we have a couple topics. One is going to be on Biz101, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about something that I've found, which is kind of super interesting. But I know we talked about this once before, and this is just kind of amazing that's happened like two episodes in a row. It's raining again.
Yes. And we had full thunder and lightning, the entire package. Yes, we get excited in
Yeah,
the desert.
especially when the lightning and thunder comes in. Were you in the office yesterday when it struck?
Yes, I stood in front of the window. I actually stopped working and I like opened the blinds and I'm like, I love this.
And like during monsoons, right? So I do that too, and I get made fun of that because like in the monsoon season, when the like a dust storm rolls in, lightning and stuff,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to stand in front of the window. And guess what we do?
I
Storm. I did that with that was it that massive downburst we had last fall, that microburst that we had that
know.
tore off roofs in Tempe. I
Yeah.
was running through the house like trying to stop some of the rain from coming in, but I'm standing in front of the
They
window and
called
I
it a
can't see.
haboob, I think.
Was that the haboob? Because I know the haboob
I
is
think the
coupled
one
with the
that,
dust.
okay, well, maybe
Th-
it was that,
This one
but
was more just rain coming in sideways
uh,
into like it was just nuts. Like the backyard flooded and it took all of like 3 minutes. Like that's how much rain came down. And here I am standing at the window, right? And it was tearing off roofs and I'm standing by the window. So, but anyways, we're trying to embrace this rain and we keep bringing it up because we
yeah.
love this because next week, I don't know if you saw this, it's in the forecast next week. We may be hitting triple digits and it's
Oh,
only
I thought
middle of March.
90s.
That's this
Okay.
week. Next week, potentially triple digits. I know I saw that. I'm like, it's only middle of March. Okay, we got this. So,
Okay. Well, it's nice and cloudy today, and that's another rarity, so
I
I
know
will
I got the
take it.
sweater on.
I'll just embrace right now. How about
Yes.
that? Okay. I'll worry about that other stuff later. Anywho.
Cool. Did you see that comment that we had in YouTube?
Yes. So from the last Biz101 episode, and it's from my friend Risa. Shout out to her out in Colorado.
Hey,
Um,
Risa.
yeah, she's actually um so it was in reference to the KUM come and go. It's the gas station, right?
Hmm.
And I made this statement, something like, because I seen it in Korea. And she corrected us and said, yeah, it used to be, but now it's called Mavericks.
Yay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Mavericks.
thank you, Risa. And please, yes, if people want to comment and correct us and what we're saying, absolutely, we welcome it and we'll shout
Yes,
it.
please let us know. All right.
Um,
So the other day I had to bring this up. So the other day I was just hanging out sitting on the porcelain god, right? Just messing around on my phone. And I started researching like women business owners in the past, like, and just seeing what's coming up, right? And so, of course, the first one that came up was Madam C.J. Walker, right? So I was like, oh, that's cool. But I do want to finish watching
mm.
her movie on YouTube before I
Oh,
talk about her.
it's excellent. I think I've watched it.
Have you? I need to watch it. And I double checked and it's still up, so I need to watch it. But I came across another one is the more I started looking into her, this kind of made me laugh. So this information, I'm going to bring her up. I came from a couple different resources, but most of it actually came from ASU project. It was ASU's embryo project. And the
Hmm.
author of it was Rainey Horowitz. So I definitely want to reference her because I used a lot of, she wrote an amazing article on it. And we'll put the link in the show notes on it if you guys want to read the full thing. But it is about Lydia Pinkham's vegetable compound from the late 1800s. And so, as I'm going through, let me tell you a little bit about her. So, in 1873, in Lynn, Massachusetts, Lydia Pinkham created her vegetable compound to help relieve menstrual discomfort and menopausal symptoms, which came from family recipes which she concocted in her kitchen and then would give friends and family members prior to it becoming this business. During the 1870s, the only medical providers were male, of course, who often dismissed GYN complaints as
Mm,
unimportant, of
of
course.
course.
And the standard treatment for severe menstrual cramps involved surgical removing of ovaries, which had a 40% mortality rate. Can-
Yeah, I mean,
I
well,
just,
given that time period too, and oh gosh, I can't. Yeah,
yes. I mean, I can't even fathom. Okay, do I want to
no,
just deal with severe menstrual cramps or die? Like that was like their options, basically.
yeah,
So that one blew my mind on that one that I never heard of removing ovaries to deal with menstrual cramps.
no.
Okay. So her trailblazing started in 1873 when a financial crisis ruined her husband. How? I don't know. I didn't see anything about how that ruined him. But she turned her little enterprise into a bona fide business. The cellar became her family, the family house cellar became their first factory. Her children got jobs to earn the needed capital. And then in 1876, she created Miss Lydia Pinkham's medicine company so she could package and distribute this patent. So she had a patent compound with the help of her three sons, which kind of makes sense with that. And then according to Horowitz, the writer from ASU, the tradition of concocting medicines in the home was a common hobby for housewives during the 19th century when many people were suspicious of the expensive and often dangerous medications prescribed by doctors. Is that
Wow, that's
so?
amazing.
So the ingredients to this
Yeah.
compound first was black cohosh, allegedly treating symptoms of menopause, which I've used for hot flashes, which I've been using, and
Okay.
it to have a sedative and anti-inflammatory property that treated menstrual cramping. That was new. I've never heard of that one.
Wow.
And then there's unicorn root, which is not a root. I forget, it's a herb or something else. I forgot what it was. But unicorn root allegedly gave energy to the uterus and lessened the likelihood of miscarriages. And pleurisy root allegedly helped cure prolapsed uteri. And then the next is, and I had to look this one up, fenugreek seed lowers blood sugar levels, boosting testosterone, increasing milk production. All right, take note of that one, right? Life root, which again I had to look up too, had been traditionally used to hasten labor and reduce labor pain in childbirth, right? All right. And to preserve the mixture, they had to use alcohol. So the original recipe had was 20%, and then by 1906 it was down to 15%, but they also created some products without the alcohol in it for the women who didn't want the alcohol.
Yeah.
And then they also produced this remedy in lozenges and pill form. So they were really,
Wow.
really kind of growing this company, which is great. This next section was really interesting. Okay, so in their advertisement, they added her portrait to assure women that this product was created by a woman who
Hmm.
understood. The compound became so well known that songs were created about it. Like, in one song quoted Lydia Pinkham's vegetable compound as causing weight gain, increasing milk production during lactation, and increasing female fertility. And with these songs, plus after consumers' testimonial, the tagline became "There's a baby in every bottle." Like I was like, "What?" To help with cramps, also it became "baby in every bottle."
So is does it exist today? Like the
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Okay,
yeah.
so yes, it does. In 1968, well, kind of does. Miss Lydia Pinkham's Medicine Company was sold to Cooper Laboratories, headquartered in California, and then into the first decades of the 21st century, pills and liquids were based off of the original vegetable compound recipe, and were available in pharmacies and do not contain alcohol. So they took it, her recipe broke it down, but still was using the core of it.
Okay.
So
So
interesting.
we can buy this stuff?
We need to look it up, see where we can find it, and see what that's involved. But one last thing I found was really interesting. She would ask readers to submit inquiries about female health for her to address in her published pamphlets. So she would create pamphlets to go with with all her products, and questions that were she asked for questions that were deemed uncomfortable or too taboo to ask, and stated that no man's eyes would read those letters to her.
She's so Oh, I
Right?
would have loved to meet her.
Yes, because so many men were like, oh no, just suck it up or like just dismissive. So that way it took that out of it, knowing another woman who's been through it, like,
Yeah.
you know, so
I mean, the other day I was asked, I got a referral for a gynecologist and they asked what I what my if I had any preference. And I was like, Can it be a woman doctor, please? Can you not hear me?
You're getting soft.
Oh, I was like, yes, I would like a woman doctor. Because all our women here are doctors. I was like, great. I was like, I picked the right clinic.
Nice.
Yes, because I've learned through my own health challenges that it was challenging sometimes when it especially came to menopause and life change. Yeah, that whole perimenopause, all of that. And I got sent to a male psychiatrist to talk to about these issues. And I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just to this day, this is like 2020s.
Yeah. And it's actually for me, mine was a female doctor, but she was new. She was new. She was a new GYN doctor.
Mhm.
And being so young, I went
Yeah.
in and she's like, "Oh, you have depression. Here's some medication." And I was like, "No." And then I had my final period and I felt so amazing. So I'm like, "It's not depression, it's lack of estrogen that creates these symptoms. And I need
Yes.
my estrogen back and then I have no symptoms." Like, but like the young ones don't either because they even say like in medical school, menopause is just like barely touched for GYN professors, doctors. Just it's barely touched. And so I actually am seeing a doctor now that out of there's like two or three clinics out of all those doctors, she's the only one that specializes in hormone replacement therapy. I was like, shouldn't
Isn't
she
that
have
mind
more?
blowing? Like, we've been
Like,
existing for how long now? And for all of this to even still be exploratory, and I mean, it's coming out more and more and more, which is great, but it's 2026. We haven't just appeared a couple of years ago. Like, we been
yeah,
exist.
right.
But even with studies on women bodies haven't been really explored. I think not even touched until the like, I'll have to, so if anybody is fact checking me, that's great. I think the 90s
Hmm.
is when they really start doing studies on women.
And it's been slow since.
Yes. And it's like, and then this trailblazer from the 1800s, like she had a lot of answers, but so
Hmm.
yeah, it's just, it's mind blowing to me.
I mean,
So
if you think about it, she did probably did, and there was nothing about finances in there, but she probably did so well. She basically took care of her entire family with how popular it became with women.
yeah. Um,
Mm. So,
so oh, how many women has she? It's just, my
hmm.
God. And if you haven't mentioned her, I wouldn't know nothing about her.
Right? Interesting.
Oh, well, thanks
All
for
right.
that.
Well,
That's great.
today let's pivot to a topic that's not to me not as interesting, and I'm sure there's probably some legal lawyers out there that are like they totally love this topic. Um, so, but we're going to shift a little bit to the Business 101, and we're going to talk a
Mhm.
little bit about registering your business. However, I want to preface this that neither one of us are experts in this, and we're neither one of us are lawyers. So as you're registering your business, make sure you do your own research. And even, I mean, there's lawyers out there that will help you get started up with the business. And there's a couple resources that we'll shout out and then we'll have them in the show notes, but definitely do your research. But this is just some of the basics of registering your business. So so definitely check. I think CPAs help with that as well. So check with lawyers, CPAs. There's actually a really great link for SBA.gov. Make sure it's not .com, it's .gov. But it's a 10 steps to starting your own business. So we're going to put it's a really great like beginners if you're just starting researching. We're going to put that link in there.
Right. And there's also probably to seek out in your communities too,
Mm-hmm.
like for like business enterprise programs that there's organizations out there that helps people, women, sometimes they have focus groups. So like for women, how to do a startup, how to get going for
Mm-hmm.
free. Like there's mentors out there, there's organizations out there that are full of information and
Yes.
expertise in these areas. So
And we may be interviewing someone from one of these organizations. So stay tuned on that one.
yes.
So if it's all gonna come together, she's gonna bring a wealth of information, which is gonna be
Yes.
awesome. So stay tuned for that one. So, all right. So first things first, when you are registering your business, first you have to select the entity type. Do you want to be a sole proprietor? Do you want to be in a partnership? Do you want to have an LLC? Does it need to be a corporation? And kind of the big difference is the LLC adds a little bit more liability protection over your company than, let's say, a sole proprietorship. And the LLC really helps separate your personal and your professional checking account, businesses, numbers, money, basically. It helps really separate that so your personal stuff doesn't get muddled in there. So it does help with liability. So doing like an LLC or a corporation adds a little bit more liability and tax benefits to it as well. So definitely research those. Another one is, registering with a state agency. And I'm definitely going to hear Lina, we're going to bring up Lina on this one because she is newer to this. I've registered a couple of businesses, so I couldn't tell you what it was like when I first started. But the state, tell us like what you ran into with registering your state agency or what you found out.
Well, I did, I think, probably bare minimum, Google being my friend in all of this. So, because I often hear, oh, it's just, it's easy. Just go online and do an LLC. But it got kind of like minimal information on it. So, yeah, I basically just went online, kind of milled around, then went to my state .gov sites on, all I knew is like, I wanted to do establish at least the name of my company and make it an LLC. It is a pretty easy process. You just go on there and you follow the steps. It kind of outline out in Arizona, it just easily outlined these are the things that you need and these are optional forms and stuff. Just if you're gonna have a partner in it, if you know other people are involved or whatever. This was just me. So it was really simple for me because it was just me. I had no partners. And so I just put everything online and paid the small fee. And next thing I knew, well, yeah, I did my research because I think we did the naming of the business in our previous segment.
Mm-hmm.
And once I knew I was able to have the listening bench as my own, did that. The thing I didn't pay attention to is one, I still need to establish an EIN with it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I used my own home address, mailing address, and didn't know anything about what do you call them?
Registered agents.
Registered agents. Didn't know anything about that, that I could use go to a registered agent and use a different mailing address for that business. Because as Renee just said about establishing an LLC is also having a separate bank accounts. Like now it's business and personal. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking, oh, I just want my name. I want an LLC. I want a trademark. And because then I started getting mail about my newly established LLC, and there's also a law involved because then once you're registered, you get sent all this mail and you kind of have to read what it
Mm-hmm.
is because the initial language feels like, oh, I need to do this and pay this. So then I'm not, violating any law because the way they make it sound, it's actually third parties that send this out to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, there's this policy or this regulation and you need to do this and you got to pay this amount of money and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't have a bulletin board. I don't even have an institution. I don't have a brick and mortar place. So you have to then allow common sense to kick in and ask the questions and read and be like, oh, I don't need to worry about this. Or, it might be something you need. But that was all new to me. And if I really would have taken a few steps further in researching, like establishing as simple as its own address as well.
Yeah. And I didn't even think
That's
about that when we were talking because it didn't even occur to me because the registered agent is really what it is if someone files a lawsuit, someone has to be there to sign for it, like when they send it to you. And so that's why you definitely can use your home address, but your home address then becomes public. And so that's why a lot of
yeah.
companies will use, and you can't use a PO box, but you can use a place that has boxes like the UPS store, and there was a mailbox, etc. Those you can use, and usually they will tell you if they are willing to be a registered agent and sign for you, and they usually are. And that is one of the things one of the benefits they have.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the time, especially if you're working from home, It may be best still just to go get a box somewhere, not a PO box at the post office, but like another store. And that's what the registered agent. So I didn't even think about that when I was talking to you because I've always had a second address because of the way I live. It just didn't occur. And that
Yeah, I
way,
didn't.
yeah, that way doing that just another level of privacy for yourself. And then you can also have the option of doing a DBA, doing business as. And this I've kind of haven't researched too much. I've touched base, looked at it every so often, but every time I look at it, what I've seen is they tell you you have to have another bank account for it and another EIN for it. And I was like, okay, no, I want everything underneath one right now because I am not some massive like corporation. I'm just a coaching business. I'm just me, right? So there's that option. So if that's something where like you don't have to create, there's a lot involved in that one. Hopefully, when we bring on who I think
Mhm.
we're going to bring on, hopefully they can break that down a little bit more for us. And then the next thing you do is Lena brought this up earlier is you get an EIN number. So you get your employer identification number. Super easy. You just jump online to the IRS, fill out the paperwork, and they just send you a PDF and you download it, poof, and you're good to go. It takes like a minute, 5 minutes max to do that whole process. And you'll need that when doing your taxes and opening up a bank account, like Lena said earlier. And then this is the next fun part is tax registration. Registering with your state sales tax and with the state revenue, like with the state, which actually I end up just paying at the end of the year instead of throughout the year. Whereas this is really important with the EIN, you have to pay your taxes quarterly. Do not skip that because the last 2 years I have been fined for not doing exactly what the paper has said. So when you're dealing with the federal, you have to pay quarterly taxes and make sure you pay the exact amount that's on your quarterly taxes, or else they'll fine you. Because I think one year I paid too much, but there was one quarter I paid less than what it was said, and they still fined me, even though I paid over on the other
See, yeah,
quarters. It,
that I did not know. Hmm.
yes, it, yeah. I'm like, that still irks me. But anyways, so we'll see what happened. Last year I was right on the dot. So we'll see if they what they come back with this year. So that's just kind of the basics. Again, like we said, do some research, get involved with the lawyer, check with your CPA, especially if you have any questions about any of these things.
And don't be scared to use, I think at this point, a lot of people use like AI, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or whatever is out there. It's like another search function, right? It's a little bit more
Hmm.
comprehensive. And it should have taglines of the resources, the sources that this information comes from. So then you can kind of further do a deeper dive. Um, and there's just a ton of information out there. So don't do what I did and just like, oh, there's just do some reading on it and then see what you want, what your business is going to look like, or how you want it to start out, and go from there.
Okay. And then as we were kind of pulling up this information, I kind of took a look at some of the easiest states to register in business and some of the hardest ones, and like the reasons behind some of these. The ones that tend to be a little bit faster, more affordable, like Wyoming seems to be a huge one. And I know Nevada popped up there as well because Nevada doesn't have any state corporate income tax or personal income tax. And then they have high confidentiality. Wyoming was a low startup cost, no corporate income tax, and high privacy protection as well. Delaware seems like to be a huge one, especially for startups. And they seem to be business friendly legal environment. Um, and it has to do something with a court of chancery for corporate
Hmm.
disputes. Seems to be the main reason why Delaware is great. And it's better for startups, not small businesses. And to me, they were one and the same. And I was like, what? So I think startups, the way I would describe it, and please someone tell us if it's different than this, but startups, you start it up to sell it off. Whereas a small business is like Lena and I, we have small businesses and we're not planning on selling it. It's ours. So Florida has no personal state income tax, so low fees as well. And then Texas with no state income tax is fast and very low annual franchise tax for many small businesses.
Yeah. Um, there are things I found, little fun facts of, because this is more Renee's area. So I went and I was just curious as to how much, what kind of a footprint women entrepreneurs have in our country. And I didn't do global, but I just did for the US. And really, 42% of all businesses in the US are owned by women.
Wow.
And that's
42.
almost half. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I mean, contributing really trillions in revenue in our country's revenue, right? So, one of the fun facts about it is like in the past 20 years, women owned businesses have grown over 114% in the past 20 years. And California ranks number one for women in business that accrue high revenue, as so a million plus, that generate over $1 million, and has the highest number of venture capital deals for
Mm-hmm.
women-led enterprises. And then two and three is New York and Maryland. And what's interesting about Maryland, it is, especially in the Baltimore area, it's really has a huge support system for women of color, um, for them to become entrepreneurs, and they provide initiatives like we had discussed earlier. They do have what they call minority business enterprise program, where they go in and it's nonprofit and they help women get started up. They educate them and get them going, and so there's a lot of support there. Um,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, places like Florida and Texas doesn't, when you talk about these as the easiest states to register because of their no state income tax and all those benefits. That's why Florida keeps coming up in the top five for a lot of different categories. Um, Mainly like most supportive in women enterprises, women entrepreneurs, and has Florida, I think, has one of the largest percentage of businesses per capita, like per 1,000 women residents of that state. There's a high concentration of women-owned businesses.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it's interesting that also California has that, like the highest number one, because they're actually listed as one of the hardest states to register a business in
Isn't
with
that?
their high, like an annual minimum franchise tax. So at least $800 a month, expensive registration fees, and strict restrictions or regulations, regulations. So it's interesting because Massachusetts came in as the highest initial filing fee in the county as or the country of $500, which blew my mind because like Colorado was like $50, but Arizona was what, 60 or something like that?
Yeah,
$60.
Arizona is pretty low cost.
And it's like the one-time
I
filing.
think I only paid 50.
Yeah, so it's 50. So it's like a one-time, whereas some states have annual. And I think there is what's also what Arizona does not have, and I know I brought this up, is annual fees and reports. So besides annual fees, some states require annual reports. So pay attention to that when you're registering in your state. Like Arizona doesn't have it, but I think other states like California has the reports. And so that's something just to pay attention to so you don't get dinged for that. And actually, right here, it says Montana is one of the lowest at $35. Interesting.
I think they're up and coming. There's been a
Yeah.
big boom in growth in that area as well. Um, and actually, Alaska too has the highest share of women business owners. I thought that was interesting
Yes, considering
because
it's like 10 to
women are
1.
not, yeah, there's more men than
It's
women
like
up there.
10 women to every one female up there from
Yeah.
last I heard years ago, but it could be changed some. But still, that's,
Yeah, because the
yeah.
top five under that category was Alaska was number one, Virginia, then Colorado, Georgia, and Florida. It's because they have a huge, like a really strong small business ecosystem and supportive entrepreneurship culture and all of that. So maybe there are less of them, but maybe that's just strengthened them to
Hmm.
come together more and support each other. And but and yes, and the states with the large percentage of all business owned by women, so like all the businesses of that state, huge chunks of it are owned by women, like from the highest 39% to 37%. And that's New Mexico, Florida, Mississippi, Hawaii, and California. So even though some of these states, like Hawaii and California, as already mentioned, have some challenges in how they in their policies, they still have a very strong networking system happening that they pull through it and they still make it happen, which I thought was, yes, the true spirit of a
Woman
woman.
entrepreneurship. It is. And
Yeah.
it'd be really interesting to see why those are stronger states. Like what kind of resources, support systems do they have in place? That'd
Yeah.
be
Well,
interesting to find that
yeah,
out.
specifically, but there is, California is a huge state and there is a lot of venture capitalists there. And
Hmm.
there is like Silicon Valley. Tech is big. That's why
Hmm.
Massachusetts, it's a huge health industry, right? So there's a lot of
Hmm.
women that gone into that. So I think it's what's able to generally, I don't have the specific, but generally what seemed to have through the readings is there's a huge network system of that feeds into that startup ecosystem, and they just, yeah, they still punch through it. So New York is being one of them too because of its global footprint, financial footprint in that area. um, so yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. And really, amongst that huge growth of women entrepreneurship, women of color is one of the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs in the US. And in at here at our home base in Arizona, um, we are number 4 in US for women startup founders. We are number 8 overall for women small business owners. And 46% of businesses in the state are women owned, and top 10 nationally for long-term growth for women owned firms. So they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And here in this little city of Tucson has one of the highest shares of women business owners among US cities, 38%.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And we have a really strong presence of Latina entrepreneurs. They're just like skyrocketing.
Just killing it.
So, yep,
Nice.
just killing it. So,
Great.
thought that was some interesting stuff. I was scouring over some business journals and stuff. This all came up.
Yeah, if you guys have any extra data, of course I say data. Here's me in my left brain. You got data? Let me know data. Oh, so if you have any extra information you want to just add to this, like leave comments in our YouTube underneath, or email us as well, right? As athenaslisteningcrew at gmail.com. Or if there's something that we got wrong, you're like, hey, check this out instead. Or here, if you know some good resources, let us know. Let us know. We'll shout it out as well. So,
and I want to also plug in our She Did That segments. So if
oh
anyone,
yes.
any women trailblazers out there, women own, own your own business, and you want to come on board and share your expertise or share your story,
Mhm.
and please reach out to us. We would love to have you on.
Nice, very nice. So, all right. Well, I think
Okay.
that is the end of our
Yeah.
episode. So stay tuned for more episodes. I know we have more interviews coming up. I know we have an episode on preventing burnout. So we're going to talk a little bit more on real
Yeah. It's
talk.
before the burnout. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
before the burnout. So, all right.
yep.
You
Thank
have
you
a
for
great
listening,
week
guys. You too. Have one.
and
Have a
trailblaze
great
on.
one. Yes. Do some self care. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.